Hello, I'm Dr. Nat Christiana, PhD in Lost Studies. And if you're watching this film, it means that you've successfully watched all 6 seasons of Lost. And now we're going to discuss the series finale. I cannot stress enough, do not continue watching this video if you have not seen all 6 seasons of Lost. We will be getting into a lot of things that happen in the show very heavily. So, this is your final warning. Not only is this discussing why I like why I defend the series finale, because there was some defending that needed to happen when it came out. Not only do I defend it, but why I like it and why Lost as a whole is my favorite show of all time. So that's basically what we're getting into. Lost is a sci-fi show. But the things that made it sci-fi were developed slowly over the seasons. They didn't just lay everything down on us in the first episode. Although there were some elements there in the first episode that already were not making total sense, like what was this monster out in the woods and stuff like that we couldn't see. So there were things there, and then you find out a few episodes later that the island cured Locke, and he had been in a wheelchair before he came to the island, stuff like that. So, but then as you get farther along, it's, the island can move, and there's time travel, and, all these other things that are, much more heavier sci-fi stuff. So Lost is a sci-fi show. But even then, even you have these characters who you care about that are dealing with these sci-fi elements, but they still feel like real people. The decisions that they make are still the decisions that any one of us would, make in these kinds of odd situations that they find themselves in. So, going into the final season of Lost, season 5 ends with the bomb going off. And many of us thought that season 6 would be either a total reboot where we just see this world where the island does not exist for these people, where the plane never crashed, and what their lives would be like if it didn't happen. Instead, in the first episode, we are seeing these two parallel universes, which is also technically not what it was, but we see these two worlds that are not connected. We're going back and forth between them. One is the one that we recognize. The bomb has gone off. Everyone's been sent back to the present, and they're dealing with the ramifications of what happened. Then we have this other world that's the island is underwater. The plane landed, but even still, though, things seem slightly off, and we know that this couldn't quite be the world that would exist even if the plane had never crashed, because how did Desmond end up on the plane? I mean, things like that. So you get to the series finale, and it's really only then that you discover that this other world that we've seen is not a alternate timeline where the bomb changed things and they never land on the island, but that they're all dead. And what we're really seeing is the aftermath after all these characters that we've known have died. And this upset a lot of people. I just know, and it took me some time to get around the idea because it was not what we were expecting it to be or even hoping it would be, but that's what it was. And I, watching the finale, I cried because it was very emotional. And, I watched Lost over the course of 6 years. I watched it, every week, and we'd have the week of discussing every hypothesis as to what was going to happen and what the stuff that we had seen meant. So I really got into the show over the course of 6 years, and I loved all of it. I loved reading people's ideas about what they thought was happening and stuff like that. And then a lot of people were upset by the finale. Here's why I like the finale. And you have to go back we have to go back to like season 5. Well, first of all, every season you kind of understood what the finale was going to be before we got there. In season 1, you kind of knew that it was going to deal with the hatch and them getting it open. Season 2, you kind of figured out that it was going to be what happened if they didn't press the button. Season 3 was dealing with the others and the whole confrontation with that, and whether or not Charlie was going to die, and that ended up being, and more often than not, what you thought was going to be the finale turned out to be what the finale was. Season 4 was the most obvious. You knew that you were going to figure out how the people that got off the island, why other people stayed behind, and things like that. But then we got to season 5, and even 3/4 of the way through, you weren't really sure what the finale was going to be about. It was a great season. I love time travel. And when they first said that, like, season 5 is going to be the time travel season, I was like, yes, I'm on board with that. But still, even though this was all happening, you didn't exactly know what was heading towards. And that was sort of the thing that they discussed, is that they end up back in the 70s, but they're not exactly sure why, until Faraday comes back and says there's a bomb, and if we blow it up, we can change everything. And the person that loves time travel in me goes, yes, exactly. They're going to blow up the bomb, they're going to fix, all the mistakes that they made, and we're going to see this world where the plane never crashed and stuff like that. This will be really interesting. And you assume that it's going to work because Jack is our hero, and Jack believes that this is what he has to do, and that's how it works. They did. They got the bomb to go off. But then it didn't work out the way that they thought it was going to work out. But you only realize that until the end of season 6, that the bomb didn't work. And what they were doing was giving this expectation and then making us all collectively go through the fact that the expectation of what we were hoping for isn't what happened. That was intentional. Because that's life. They're living in this science fiction world, but there's still these rules, like you can't take back what you've done. That's something that we all deal with, is thinking, I wish I could go back and change something. That's a universal thing. We all, feel that way about something in our lives. Like, wouldn't it be great if we could just set off a nuclear bomb and take back that thing that I did? And so you root for these characters that you love so much to be able to do it. But even in the science fiction world, with time travel and an island that heals people and a smoke monster and people that can not age for over 100 years, you live in this world with all that stuff, but there's still this rule that says that the things that you do matter. And that's what the show is about. That the things that you do can't be undone. You have to live with them. And this is what Jack says in the finale, and it so sums up exactly what the show... It was the message of the show. Desmond is about to be lowered into the heart of the island, and Desmond is trying to say to Jack, like, this doesn't matter. Like, all this stuff, it doesn't matter. He says there's this other place where the plane never crashed, and we never ended up here, and things are great, and we can go there. And Jack just looks at him and he goes, Desmond, I tried that. Because he set off the bomb. He goes, Desmond, I tried that. He says, there are no shortcuts, there are no do-overs. Whatever happened, happened. All of this matters. And that's what the show is. It's showing that, the things that we do, have repercussions. And no matter what and how could you create this show? How could you care about the characters if they could undo what they did? How can you feel like they're real people if they live in a world where they can take back what they've done, where the people that have died, the people that they've lost, can come back? Charlie's sacrifice, and Boone, and Ana Lucia, and Echo, and Faraday, and all the other people that died in the course of the show. You can't just erase what happened. It all happened. They live in a world, just like ours, except for some sci-fi elements. And that's what I loved about it. So the happy ending to it all is the fact that in the future, once all of these people have died, and we don't see all of them die, we see Jack die, and theoretically, most likely, Hurley would have been the last of them to die because he became the leader of the island, and therefore would become semi-immortal. And who knows, he and Ben could have ruled over the island for thousands of years. You have no idea. But at whatever point that all of them did die, they end up together. And that is a beautiful idea, because even though they couldn't erase what they'd done, it's still okay, because even though they lost people, they all saw each other again. And I thought that was beautiful, and that's why when they were all getting together there in the finale, I was bawling. I was bawling my eyes out, because I was happy to see them all together again, and sad that Lost was ending, and it was quite the emotional thing for me. So that is why I defend the series finale. A lot of people were like, we didn't get all the answers that we wanted. Again, this goes into something that I say is very much like real life. You don't always get to know everything that you want to know. And people are going to be like, that's bullshit answer to us not getting all the answers that we expected. It is. But Lost is my favorite show of all time, and even though we didn't get all the answers that we wanted, I still love the finale. One thing, if you're looking for me, if I could change one thing about the finale, here's what I think would have been cool. Because the Man in Black made himself look like Locke. And we didn't know exactly what the rules were. Aside from the fact that the person had to be dead, we weren't really understood what the rules were as far as him looking like someone else. So, basically, the Man in Black had a duplicate of Locke's body. If that's the case, wouldn't it have been great if, when Desmond pulled the plug out of the island, and I think that basically made the island lose its power, because then, Jack and Locke could kill each other. But if when that happened, wouldn't it have been great if the Man in Black was no longer able to walk because he had Locke's body? And it wouldn't have happened right away, but, Jack and Locke would have still had this fight, this brawl, trying to kill each other, and Locke would have had the upper hand, and then his legs would just stop working because he had Locke's body, and he would just fall to the ground, and Jack would be able to kill him. And wouldn't it have just completely justified all the sacrifices that Locke had in his life? Because that's his whole thing. Locke's whole journey was like, why did this happen to me? And he truly believed that these things happened to him for a reason. And it would have been great if, Locke's dead, and, he not in life, but, in the finale where everyone is reunited, we see that Locke gets to see that what he was trying to do, like in helping Jack, he was validated in that. But wouldn't it have been great if, more so, like Locke you find out that the whole reason that Locke was paralyzed in the first place, that there was a plan, that Jacob had this plan for the Man in Black to use a broken body. So that way, and the Man in Black wouldn't know that this, restriction was on him. So when Desmond pulled the plug, he ended up in this defective body, and it will allow Jack to kill him. I think that would have been awesome for it to just come together like that, but that's really just like my one issue with the finale. I think that would have been great. Other than that, I accept it for what it is. I watched it the other day because it had been a while. I haven't watched the whole show from start to finish since it ended, because I just want to give it some time before I go through it all again, because I want to rediscover some stuff. So much of it I still remember, so I just want to start from the beginning and watch and discover moments that I have forgotten about, because my memory is not as good as it used to be. Wilson Day, but I watched the finale a couple days ago because I knew I was going to do this video, and still just I got a little choked up watching some stuff, and it still has a hold on me. I still care about the characters, and that's the main thing. People were upset about the finale because they didn't get the answers that they wanted, but I realized that the main reason that I watched the show, and as much as I love the mysteries and stuff that was going on, but then love to think about, throughout the shows, what could be in the hatch, what happens if they don't press the button, what's the deal with the Darwin Initiative. As much as I love that stuff, ultimately the reason that I love the show was because I found the characters so fascinating. Locke is my favorite fictional character of all time. So that was when at the season 4 finale, when the camera pans over the coffin and you see that he's in it, I fell out of my chair. I just started screaming on the floor because I'm so just wrapped up in the show. And I was just like, no! It was a great moment. So ultimately, that's why I love the show, is the characters that are on it more than the mysteries that are involved. So that's why it's my favorite show of all time, because of the characters. And the series finale was more about wrapping up what happened with the characters more than just whatever mysteries needed to be revealed. Alright, so there you have it. That is why I defend the series finale. That is why Lost is my favorite show of all time. Again, Locke's legs not working, Man in Black taking it over would have been a nice touch, but that's my only issue with it. And there you have it. That's why I love Lost. Namaste, and God bless.